Hi everyone, this is Salty Sports Show. I'm here with Lincoln Steven as always, and we're joined by a special guest, Ryan. It's great to have you on with us.
Hello there. It's great to come on. I'm Ryan Garcia. If you weren't paying attention to the intro,
Yeah. I guess we'll just get straight into it with the football, right? Um, what
be
game? I have the list out. What game do you want to do first here? We have a lot of the last week and the Thanksgiving games were really good, but let's get to the Thanksgiving games last.
Mhm.
That does make sense to that.
Yeah.
Let's start high
Uh,
scoring first, and then just move on to our teams because
Yeah. Let's
I
go
don't
with the
want to talk about
Colts
the
and the
Bears
Bills.
first.
That was kind of a crazy one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Anyone got anything to say about that one? Because
Jonathan Taylor is that guy.
He's the truth. He's the truth. He's the
My
truth.
God.
He's the truth.
oh god, Link, you're
I'm
gonna
not-
you're gonna hate me
Yeah.
for saying this, Link.
Yeah, I know you're gonna say. Now Henry's the second best back in the AFC South. I get it. He had I'm not gonna deny that he had an explosive game against Buffalo. But then again, Henry can't really have an explosive game for the rest of the season because he's on IR, just like 90% of the Titans roster from week 1.
Holy
I mean,
shit.
it's just-
Look, I wasn't trying to get you. I was just trying to make. Oh God, I got you upset by accident. That was
no,
like
I'm
the
not
opposite.
upset. I'm messing with you.
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah,
hyperbole.
like it's
But,
just
the
yeah.
Colts had a
Link's
very
full double.
surprising win. Like, I don't know how, but Indianapolis is actually competing, or like not competing for like the division title, but they're competing for one of the wild card slots. And this was a team that started. I think they started 1-4. They've been on a 3-game winning streak. I mean, yes, they had to play such tough competition like the Jets, Jaguars, but that win against Buffalo, man, really wild.
Yeah, and it was dominant too. I think the crazy thing though was like with Taylor, and it's like to me, I think he's my personal pick for the best running back in football. Like I don't think you'd be wrong saying it's Henry though. Like that's just how I view it. But the Bills are like the best defense in football, and he just completely tore them down. What they've been doing in Indianapolis is pretty good. And yeah, like you said, the Colts are out of the division race. The Titans swept them. They can get close at best, but I think this at this point, it's pretty comfortable in like Tennessee's hands. But like the Bills need to look into me. We'll talk about Thanksgiving in a bit, but they really needed to take a look into the mirror after that recent stretch of games, starting with that loss to the Titans.
They're gonna. You already know they're gonna fire the ball, and then the Bears are gonna hire him. You already know it's gonna happen.
Well,
Like
the
that's
Bull will
yeah.
get hired somewhere else, and then their offense will get better after that happens.
Yeah, no, that's basically what I was implying. But there's no way he's not going to the Bears. That's like a match made in heaven. But I digress. I'm pretty amazed they're making Carson Wentz look like serviceable. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still like, he's like, I don't think anyone's like surprised he's doing okay, not on the Eagles, but like I don't know, they're using him pretty well.
He certainly has
they're
the
running
talent.
a pretty tight offense. Yeah,
I think this feels like another year.
it's just he's been beaten up.
This feels like another year where it's like I feel like I'm watching the Colts. And I'm like, man, if they had a really good quarterback, like they would be.
Andrew Luck.
Yeah,
It's like a team made for Andrew Luck without Andrew Luck.
Exact. That was like the perfect way to put it. Yeah, they got so cursed when he retired. Man, that was a shame.
I honestly,
I will say.
Oh, go ahead.
What's up?
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I will say, and I know this is going to come off as biased. Jonathan Taylor had a great. He was incredible. There's no doubt, and he's had an incredible year. But I'm not going to crown him the best running back in football. And I would say I wouldn't even crown him the second best. I'm still going to have my boy Nick Chubb ahead of him, the league leader in yards per carry currently. But he's easily a top 3 back. I would say he's definitely. I would say if you had him above Chubb, that's fair. If you I wouldn't know. I don't know if you'd have him above Henry yet, but I don't know. He feels like one of those backs that's like, running backs don't matter, but he matters. He
Yeah,
matters.
like the top three is definitely him, Henry. It's like
Yeah.
Chubb, Henry, and then of course Taylor.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
runny boy.
But yeah, like I can see like Chubb up there. If he's not up there because he can't stay healthy, but if McCaffrey could stay
Yeah.
healthy, like that's another big one. And like he's still played well when he's healthy. It's not like with like Saquon where you could tell it's like definitely slowed him down. That's like a whole nother thing. But yeah, that was a very big statement for the Colts. I mean, I looking at this team, I like genuinely believe they would be like probably the best team in the league easily if they had Andrew Luck. The way the season is gone.
Yeah, they'd be pretty close. They'd have definitely like been in contention for an AFC title if he didn't retire. Like in the last.
If they had Kirk Cousins, they'd be by far the best team. And that's not like Kirk Cousins like
Yeah.
bad. It's like Kirk Cousins is an elite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just like in the he just defines the good tier of quarterbacks basically.
Yeah.
And even if you just have that like not top of the league guy with that kind of depth they run with, I mean, yeah, it's definitely AFC title worthy.
They maybe have like 2 losses.
Yeah, I mean, like look at the weapons they have in receiving. Like they still have Hilton, they have Pittman Jr., they have Jack Doyle. They are. I mean, look at what you have there, and just say, "Wow!" I guarantee you, any quarterback would want that kind of,
and a really good offensive line.
Yeah, which
well, the pass blocking hasn't been graded very well this year, which is weird, but
I don't know. I still like it a lot.
I think
I think their talent level,
but yeah,
their talent level is better than
that's been pretty big. Yeah.
I guess speaking of Kirk Cousins, if you kind of want to talk about the Vikings game, so the Vikings are 2-0 since I've seen them live in attendance. Yeah.
You are that guy.
You are. Why though?
No, well, I saw their game against the Chargers, and then
someone will be visiting your house very soon. So I'm just letting you know this.
Oh, no.
I'm not saying anything else.
Okay,
you will be going to Cleveland, by the way.
Okay. So, anyways, they played the. Hey, Steven. It's a good thing, right? Because they beat the Packers because of it. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Actually, That's true. You're good then.
But anyways, yeah. I mean, another really good game for Kirk Cousins. The Packers defense had great games against Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray. Only for Kirk Cousins to absolutely shred them. But I mean, the man of the hour of that game, as good as Kirk was Justin Jefferson.
He's so good. He's easily a top 5 receiver.
He is him.
What a pass!
Dude, what's up with all these LSU receivers, man? Like, how do they get these like generations? What? I don't know.
Look,
they got a receiver lab. Let me just say this.
I like Justin Jefferson, and I know it deep down, but I'll never admit that he's the best out of his draft. But he's that guy. His route running is nasty, and like people don't talk about this enough, but you can guard him all you want. He's really good at drawing penalties. I don't know what it is, but like he get the corners get penalized a lot when they're guarding him. So he'll either get open or just draw a penalty. It's kind of crazy. But I mean, from the Packers side, I mean, Aaron Rodgers was abysmal in like the first half, and played really well in the second. I mean, when I was watching, he was missing reads like left and right, only to in the second half really take over and almost get them back in. But I mean, the Vikings were able to take it. I believe they got a field goal at the end. Kind of the things that were haunting Minnesota early on in the year, like against Cincinnati and Arizona. I mean, they've started to correct. They've started to play a lot better in like those clutch moments. They've been putting away these past 2 games. From the Packers side, I mean, their defense, it's going to need to regroup and play more like it did before last week. But we know they can do it, and they're going to get healthier.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see.
I mean, they've had some rough luck, but I mean, they're still 8-3. They're still hanging in there. I mean, they're fine, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, it's I feel like it's kind of asking a lot. I mean, just in general for just like clear up all the injury issues like perfectly in time, just in any situation. But I mean, the fact that they're handling it like this well, and then admittedly they're in a pretty bad division, but the fact they're handling it this well is it's a good sign.
Yeah, and the Vikings with that win put themselves in really good position in the wild card race. Will simultaneously um they like technically keep themselves alive in the division race, but I mean we know the Packers will wrap it up. It's just they delay the inevitable a bit. Um,
Yeah,
but speaking of the like NFC wildcard race, I think we had one of the biggest swing games of the race. The Saints and the Eagles. Had the Saints won, their position would still have some questions to answer, but it would be practically a death sentence to any chance Philadelphia could have. But instead, the Eagles are now in a very good spot, and the Saints are in a very bad one. Of course, Thanksgiving amplified that, but that's a discussion for later. Um, Really good game from the run for the Eagles. Nick Sirianni's finally kind of come around as coaching. Uh, the injuries are starting to get to the Saints, and there are some questions to be asked as to why the Saints have made such minimal efforts to upgrade their receiving group to because with the knowledge that Michael Thomas was going to be out for a significant portion of the season, not quite out of the year, but for a lot of it, they did very little to get at least solid weapons. Um, Instead, they're headlined by Marquez Callaway, who's been the definition of inconsistency, has really bad drop issues, and for the Eagles, it was kind of easy pickings taking a team that's just that dead with those injuries.
yeah.
Almost blew it, by the way. Almost blew that game.
Yeah,
New Orleans.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know Hurts was underwhelming in that game, but I'm shocked that he's been like I thought he was going to be like the worst quarterback in football this year because the Eagles were a shit show, and I did not think he was very good, and I don't think he's very good. But I mean, the season he's put together, it's pretty promising considering he has not much to work with.
I don't think he's. Yeah, I don't think he's like the future guy or anything. I just think that like for what the Eagles, I mean, for like the best thing you could ask for this year from them, he's basically given it. And
yeah,
honestly, I think that's really, all I think that's really all you can hope for with him coming off of what he did last year. I mean, I still don't think like you're gonna win a Super Bowl with the guy,
Oh,
but
I agree.
I mean, with this team right now, you're not winning a Super Bowl period. So as
yeah.
long
I
as you have a
think
guy who can like carry you to like a wild card potentially, I mean, that's good enough.
Hertz is definitely going to buy himself an extra. He's basically he. I think that this season he's basically bought himself his entire rookie contract with Philadelphia because that's 2 more years. It's kind of crazy to
Yeah,
Yeah,
think.
I could see that. I could very well see that. And they have a lot. I mean, this quarterback class coming up is terrible, but they have a lot of promising draft capital. So we
Yeah, they could definitely
could
make a move.
build upon this team with Field. I mean, build upon this team with Hurts.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's just it
with
has
that
kind of
draft capital,
there's options.
they could definitely make a move back. So for next year,
Yeah,
just in case for next year, monitor Hurts and then have enough capital to move up for a big guy if they have to, and if they're still happy with Hurts after next year, well, that's more draft capital that they can use elsewhere.
yeah,
I don't.
exactly.
I still think Hurts is as a passer like he's just not like no. But
Yeah,
but because he's a mobile quarterback, I mean, he's going to like 680 yards on the ground with 8 touchdowns. I mean, and decent efficiency running as well. Like he's not like he's putting up like 3 yards per attempt. It's 5.4. I think that he's going to be good enough that the Eagles are going to have either a stopgap quarterback for a little bit in him, or maybe he figures out something. Hopefully for him, I guess. I don't have a team in the NFC, so I really don't care. But hopefully for him, if he even becomes like a slightly above average passer, he can definitely stick around the league for a pretty long time.
yeah. I think with Hurts, I don't think he's like a franchise quarterback, but what I think he
Yeah,
But from a realistic front office perspective, what the Eagles are probably thinking this year's probably made them comfortable giving him more than just this season. Um,
yeah.
Had the Eagles been picking super high and it was because of their own record, like their own performance playing bad, they would have considered moving on. But I think with the way the season has gone, yeah, whether he is or not, that's a whole entire other question. That's not going to be answered until maybe next season, maybe the year after. We'll see. But but we do know that he's going to be given another year. I think that's the kind of safe outlook to perceive. Um, I think we could. I guess we could talk about another game. The Bengals and the Raiders. The Bengals and the Raiders both were kind of cold. Both needed some like wins badly, and the Bengals pulled one out pretty dominantly. They looked very good overall. Obviously, they were. I think they were reeling off that pretty bad loss to the Browns. Joe Mixon was the star of that game. Not a lot out of Jamar Chase or Joe Burrow, but Mixon just ran all over the Raiders. In the meantime, Derek Carr, he did what he could. Waller had a monster game, but in the end, it was Mixon that really made the headlines and took the Bengals over the top for that victory. Um, that's very big for postseason position.
Yeah.
But
No question.
yeah. Of course, so for like our own teams from that week, does anyone want to go first? Discussing any of those teams. I don't think it was a pretty week for any of us.
Yeah, I mean, my team was very fortunate to win, but playing the Lions as close as we did, and I know they've played some teams close, and football, whatever, but for Baker Mayfield to play as badly as he did against that Lions defense it's embarrassing. I mean, if that's your franchise guy, you're not winning a Super Bowl, and you're kind of in that window where you have to win within the next 3 to 4 years maximum before the cycle restarts.
Yeah.
And I just,
Baker Mayfield just
yeah, he's just not. He's just mediocre. Like it sucks because last year was really good, but I don't know. He can't it's not even like he's injured. That's why he's not playing well. He can't his reads are terrible. He can't progress past his first read. He just overlooks shots downfield and tries to check it down, but then stays in the pocket and takes a sack. And it's not good. His injuries are his fault too, mostly because he keeps standing in the pocket and just waiting there for reads that are there, but he just doesn't want to take the shot downfield.
Yeah.
Sorry, so I'm just
go
get
ahead.
Something quick here because my big because I always really like Baker, but my big thing with him is if he's really this if this is what we can expect going forward, he put the Browns in such a terrible position with this kind of performance because this team with a franchise quarterback or with even the quarterback he was last year is 1,000% contending for the AFC. No question about it. No one has any doubts. And I think with quarterbacks who have been as good as he is, you have to kind of you always have to be a little bit optimistic because no one really because it's hard to just become bad. You have this is you get in a rhythm with how you play. I mean, if you can play that well, you can play that well. It's not like he's always been this level of a quarterback and you're all right, it's all right, prove it here. I mean, he's really been good even coming out of his rookie year. He was strong. And I mean, he has been inconsistent, but he has a really high ceiling. It's just kind of it's difficult. He's putting Cleveland in a really hard position. That's it because this is a really talented team, definitely a team that can win the AFC with a really good quarterback. It's just kind of you just have to hope that he's the guy for it. And I mean he can't be putting on performances like he has, but it's just hard to judge. Is what I'm trying to say through my rambling.
Yeah.
It's hard to judge, but you don't really have the time to let him do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
True.
It's like because that's the big thing that with championship windows in football. If a championship window that the main reason you have it is your franchise quarterback. It can last for a decade or more.
Mhm.
If your championship window is built around a complete team and you're not sure if your quarterback is necessarily all that great, it doesn't even have to be like Baker Mayfield's level. It can even be higher than Baker Mayfield's level, but just not at that X factor level like a Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins. It's not certain that it's those kind of teams you're gonna need to maintain complete teams, and maintaining a complete roster is much harder than just having a franchise QB.
No, it's like impossible. It's like impossible.
Exactly,
Take
yeah.
it from the Bears. It's basically impossible.
Like defenses year to year, volatility is like insanely crazy. I mean, look at the Cowboys. 2018 amazing, 2019 started well, ended poorly, kind of a bit above average. 2020 rock bottom. 2021 playing well, a little turnover reliant, but still playing very well. Like
Mhm.
and through these 4 years, very different rosters, making up the core of those defenses. It's insane. Like it's kind of insane just how difficult it is to maintain, a defense.
It's even worse with the Browns because they were sorry. Like I'm just gonna finish up.
No, it's all good.
Thinking. Yeah, sorry, Ryan. It's even chunk of it with the OBJ trade in that one draft, but. I mean, even so, they spent so much time rebuilding and constructing this roster, and so they really put so much effort into it. It's not like Baker is on like some mediocre team, like it's okay. It's not like he's like on no offense, but it's not like he's on the Titans where it's a good team, admittedly, but it's not like they really tanked for this roster. I mean, maybe that's a bad example, but I mean that's the best one I can think of right now. It's not like he's on some kind of mediocre team where he's the guy doing it. He's on this team that built to be complete, and when you just can't be the guy, it hurts even more.
Yeah, and I guess the big thing here is like you look at what happened with Jared Goff, and it's just if you're a Browns fan, and I am, so it's like this scary of like scary like the comparisons and like the similarities are too similar for me to be confident. Because you look at Jared Goff and it's like after his his good 2017, his really, really good 2018, he just could not figure it out. And you're like, I mean, it doesn't get better as your rookie contract comes to an end, your situation with your team. So as we take away assets, we already have, and the wide receiving core this year has been great. Landry's been terrible this year. We've had injuries. I really like DPJ, but he's been on and off injury wise. I'm not saying the wide receiver core is perfect, but he shouldn't be this bad. Like he should be around. If he was like the 13th, 14th best quarterback, like you'd be like, okay, like that's not the step forward you were hoping for. But given the situation with the receiving core and understanding that Mayfield's more of a complementary piece to this team, you wouldn't be like freaking out about it. Like I would say the Browns are to the point in which I would consider like I would start looking at what is a very lackluster quarterback class and look into whatever options you can get trade wise and see what you can figure out for your quarterback situation next year, because you're not really going to be doing much with Mayfield there.
And you have to make a decision soon. Like it's not like you can wait on this. Yeah, I totally agree.
And if he's so injured, I don't know why they keep playing him, because they have the highest paid backup quarterback in football in Case Keenum. I don't know why they keep trotting out Baker if he's incapable of throwing a football downfield because of his injuries. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
who knows? Honestly.
I agree.
Trying to solve that stuff's impossible.
Yeah, like with Keenum, I feel like you definitely just gotta let Keenum go and do his the thing while Baker recovers. But at this point in the season, I mean, Baker just made it worse for himself, because if he took the surgery early, he could be back by now or soon. Browns, considering his poor level of play, wouldn't be doing too much differently, and he could be at full health. Maybe Odell's still there because you don't have an unhealthy Baker who seems to have so many self doubts not throwing to him.
And the run game's been so good this year too. Dearness Johnson and Kareem Hunt are tied for 6th in yards per attempt, and Nick Chubb leads the league in yards per attempt.
Yeah,
like they are carries. Excuse me. Like they have an
you don't need to tell
incredible
me how good their run game is.
Their running back
need to
lab
tell
is
me how good it
incredible.
is.
Terrence Johnson for MVP. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I mean, Hunt and Chubb got like 300 combined yards against the Bears.
Oh
Like
god.
300. It was a nightmare. Like they got 15 yards easily, like each carry. It was ridiculous. And I mean, it's not too far off of what they've been doing all year.
Yeah. Speaking of the Bears, shall we talk about their affair with Baltimore?
I'd prefer not to, but
let's
for the intent of the podcast, I think we should probably.
All
do
right,
that.
we'll let you just talk about the Lions game then, if you care at all. But when we get to
No.
Thanksgiving,
I
you just
got
do
this.
not want to talk
Okay,
about
I
the
think this was
Bears.
like I never want to talk about the Bears. Okay, when the Bears get good, maybe I'll talk about them. But
All
I
right.
never want to talk about the Bears.
All right.
Okay. Both their games. We'll get into the Thanksgiving games later, but both these games they were okay. The Lions game they won 16-4. The Ravens game they lost 16-3. So that basically tells you all you need to know about how just unbelievably fascinating TV this was to watch. Typical. It was against the Ravens. It's pretty typical. Matt Nagy getting outcoached like no tomorrow by good Ravens coaching staff. And I
A
mean,
good
like the
Harbaugh.
Ravens too. Yeah, good Hardball, but
Well,
I mean, I
let's
don't know.
not give Greg Roman any credit here.
Okay. Yeah. My bad. A good Hardball. Because I have to do kind of give my props to future Bears head coach Greg Roman. But just for the sake of it. But the Ravens playing shorthanded. If the Ravens had Lamar Jackson, the Bears would probably lose this game by like 25 points, maybe like probably 40-10 or something like that. But they instead tried out the great Tyler Huntley, and I mean he did about as well as you'd expect him to do. The Ravens were kind of just hoping to just beat out a win out of the Bears, which is basically what you're hoping to do when you lose your star quarterback. And I mean, like this entire team's kind of beat up. Really, I mean, the fact that Devontae Freeman was their running back won the game during the game. And I mean, Mark Andrews was really good, obviously, but I mean, it still is they're not working with much. Bears weren't working with much. Fields got injured like pretty early on in the game. And I mean, just it's been it was a bit of a trudge, but really good game for Mooney. Again, that he's been pretty solid this year. Thank God, because Allen Robinson, thank guy's playing like he wants to retire. Let's just say it. I mean, he really is.
towards the heavens.
He's been terrible. Yeah, I'm so glad he's going to leave this team. Like he talks all that shit about this franchise during the offseason about how poorly they manage him, and he's not wrong. But I mean, just thank God he's been doing his part to just do absolutely nothing this year for the offense.
He's playing like he doesn't want to get another franchise tag. It's just that.
It's beyond that. He's playing like he doesn't want to play football again, dude. Okay, like that's what he's playing like right now. All right,
Matt Nagy,
but Mooney. Matt Nagy's breaking everyone. I mean, dude, the fact that they took this one rumor and extrapolated it so heavily that everyone thought that Matt Nagy actually got fired, like before the game started, like that just tells you all I need to know about the state of the team right now. But I mean, but Mooney had a good game. Goodwin had a solid game too. I mean, although he's like kind of one of those has a good game if the playbook's working in his favor, which it was.
Yeah.
But Mooney's been really solid this year. I got to give him props. Thank God he's taking that step forward. I don't think he could be a wide receiver one. I don't know if he's like. I just don't think he's got the explosiveness to put it in a word that like wide receiver one should have. Yeah. I think he's a really good wide receiver two, though, and I think if you can pair another really good wide receiver two with him, you have a really good receiving staff. If Justin takes that leap,
you gotta get one of his old Ohio State friends.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Give him like a Jamar Chase connection. That's just going to be generational.
Okay, but Link,
it was just a
Link. Whose suffering should we discuss first?
Let's go ahead. I'll go ahead and talk about the Titans game because I'm pretty sure that's what you want me to do right now.
Yes.
Just keep because Woo! All right, so woke up Sunday morning at around 1 o'clock. Titans game already on. I was like, I wonder what score is. I didn't have TV on. So I found out, woke up, scores 12-0, and I just immediately questioned everything and just wonder what was going on. I had to see this for myself. I saw a Titans team that definitely played as it. God, dude, it was definitely one of the worst Titans performances of the year. A lot of that does have to do with injury, but Jesus Christ. A lot of the load that game, this past Sunday's game, was really on Tannehill throwing the ball, and he definitely did throw the ball. 4 of them were to Texans players, and one of them was actually to a player for the Titans in the end zone. But Jesus Christ, it was awful. He forced way too many passes. He acted like all our starting receivers were still on the field. All healthy and all that, but that wasn't the case. AJ Brown was still there, but I mean, other than that, it felt like this game was extremely stupid. Both our touchdowns had asterisks next to them in terms of how they were, what came before or after it, or just during it. The first touchdown, was a simple, good drive down the field. However, just missed the extra point, which is excellent. I love when Randy never misses. Like he is. I don't know. And then we go on later to the game, which as this moment, it's pouring down rain in Nashville. It's a horrible game to watch. Had it on 1st and goal, and dude fumbled the ball. Frisker was there to recover it and get the touchdown. Like everything about this game was just so either bad luck or just complete buffoonery from the Titans. One of those Texans touchdowns I forgot to mention was off a muffed punt, which put them in the 5-yard line. That was really mistakes like that was what really cost the Titans the game. Like I said, Ryan Tannehill had 4 picks. Tennessee had 4 fumbles of the day. One of them was actually recovered by Houston, but nevertheless, don't want that many fumbles going on. Tyrod, I mean, you think about it, the Texans didn't really have a huge game on offense. They were under 200 yards total that game. But, I mean, even then, Tyrod Taylor, he started out really hot in the first half, but he kind of slowed down. Still had over 100 yards, but that's the weird thing. Almost every stat about this game you look at total yards, you look at first downs, look at every other stat in this game. You think the Titans would win this. Then you look at turnovers, then you're like, that's why they lost. But horrible loss. Texans they snapped their 8-game skid. They hadn't won since week 2, so that just salt on the wound for that. And more salt on the wound is the ever-growing injury reserve list for Tennessee. It reads out it almost looks like, if you look at our injury list right now, you think we're playing on concrete each week that we took the field. You think that. However, it's not the case. In fact, AJ Brown is now back on injury reserve. Yippee. This Patriots game is going to be horrible to watch. But Jesus Christ, this was definitely the worst Titans performance of the year. Hands down. Worse than the Jets game, worse than the Cardinals game. I don't want to experience it again, and I'm probably going to against New England.
I guess at least New England is a good team. Houston is,
Oh, yeah, that's right. The New England Patriots are over 500, so we will beat them, and we will beat them probably convincingly. However, we're playing Jacksonville the week after, and that's where the next loss comes to.
Oh, God.
I will just say this now. Mac Jones absolutely tearing apart your defense is an experience I would not wish on anyone. It is not fun.
It is not fun.
Is it even Mac Jones, man? It's just the Patriots offense. No disrespect.
I'm not
Jones.
trying to be rude, man, but I mean, I'm very lucky that my guys came out alive from New England. Holy shit!
Bro,
No, you got it. No, you should definitely be flexing for that.
The amount of Mac Jones DUI tweets I made as Mac Jones was just dropping tutties on us. I gotta say, I'm not ashamed of anything I said.
I think I'm
Glad we
honestly
have that on record.
and I'm not going to be surprised if it turns into 59-0 part 2.
Oh God.
This
That'd be
is
generational.
going to be bad. And there's no Jeff Fisher there to, have some scapegoat from it.
Yeah.
Now it's your turn.
All right. Well, these past 5 days have just it's a 4-day difference, but those I'm very glad that the Dallas Cowboys are no longer going to be playing football against teams in the AFC West. That's for sure. Well, I guess we'll start with the first one against the Chiefs. No Amari Cooper, no Tyron Smith. CeeDee Lamb knocked out at halftime. What happens? The Chiefs absolutely put the locks on us. Give Dak Prescott his worst game of the season because at least the Broncos game, he was able to get some late points. Yeah, it was garbage time, but at least he was able to get those late points. This game, because the Chiefs' offense wasn't able to really kill us like the Broncos one did, which is kind of ironic. Their defense was going, full sprint the whole time, and we lost. Micah Parsons was really the only one that showed up to that specific game. I mean, Dak was off. Terrence Steele at left tackle is an experience that I never want to go through again. Just everyone, it was just a pretty bad game. That was it's disappointing, but if there's a game that pisses me off over this last week, it's not the one that pisses me off. But we'll get to that one after.
It's the other one.
The other one was, oh my God. That one was awful. But, I mean, with the Chiefs one, really, our defense played well. Our offense didn't show up, and we lost. We missed too many key guys, and that would be the theme again later, but we missed, a lot. Having Amari Cooper, I mean, that's a bigger blow for the offense than I thought. We didn't have Tyron Smith for that game. Dak had to run for his life. It was awful, but I guess for the last game of that week, before we talk about Thanksgiving, the game between the Chargers and the Steelers. Steelers' offense was surprisingly kept them in the game, a game which they didn't have Minkah Fitzpatrick or T.J. Watt. But Justin Herbert himself decided to have a super amazing game and led his Chargers to a win, kind of shaking off a bit of a skid, putting the Steelers in a rough position with postseason seeding, certainly, especially that Lions game. That hurts them as well.
Yep.
But for the Chargers, getting that victory is putting them in a good spot to be in the wild, to have control in the wild card hunt and keep pace with Kansas City. And keep pace with Kansas City until their rematch in SoFi, which will be very big, of course. It was a really good game, from what I saw. But if someone else wants to recap it more, if they watched, because I was far too disheartened to really watch a lot of it.
I mean, I would just say Justin. Like, I don't know how I didn't notice this, but Justin Herbert's fast. That dude has wheels. Like, yeah, my God, he was. I got to watch the fourth quarter of that game, and so in the back of my head, I'm seeing the Steelers, knot that game up, and I'm like, all right, yeah, the Chargers are definitely losing this one because an AFC North team losing is not happening. Absolutely not. And I mean, Herbert's ability to just either he was going to make a very good throw or he was going to roll out of the pocket and go for a huge run. And it is just ridiculous how poised he can look at times. I know he was going through a rough stretch beforehand that game. I think it was like 3 or 4 games where he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
It's too early to tell, but I do think that ultimately in the next year or two, he will be a consensus, elite quarterback.
I think
I'll say it
I think
now.
the Chargers are I think they're in that kind of reverse Browns position where they have the quarterback, like definitely, or you can win a Super Bowl with Justin Herbert. I have no doubts about this really anymore. I think they just need to let the team kind of progress a little bit more because I mean they're really good right now. I think that just some natural progression with like some of their rookies are like just kind of keeping consistency elsewhere.
Yeah.
I think that's what's probably going to elevate them, and I think they've shown that all year. I think they've shown the ability to be really good already. It's just kind of hoping it pulls together. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really watch the game super much. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
One of the things I've noticed with the Chargers and their like what's happened with their current GM Telesco, they're very good at getting high end talent with their first round picks. You're talking like Herbert, Bosa, Derwin, Slater. But then when it comes to the rest of the draft and filling it out with other pieces on the roster, you're going to need to hit those picks on. They are not. You obviously with later picks, you're not expecting a very, as high as a success rate. But that success rate seems to be lower than other team than it should be, even like maybe average for, those later picks. And that's kind of what's kind of held them back. And because of that, they have a plethora of needs that aren't like outright super big weak points, but they're needs that still are needs to get big upgrades on anyways. Like the corner position, an opposite edge for Bosa, maybe their interior defensive line, their linebackers. I mean, I've named pretty much almost every defensive position, but and that still applies. They
Yeah.
have they have
No, I totally agree.
they have a lot of areas to buff up on, but yeah, they have the quarterback, and that's the start. Um, and
Exactly.
they have the flexibility to complete their roster. It might take a year or two, but they have the flexibility, and Herbert will still be on a cheaper deal for another couple of years, another 2-3 years. I mean, the fifth year option is kind of expensive, but it's nothing compared to an outright extension.
Yeah.
As long as you have him, you can be patient. That's basically what I mean, and they're good now too, so that's also a plus.
Yeah.
But as long as you have him, you're in a good spot.
He
Or as
is.
long as he's producing at this level, should I say?
Yeah, for sure. I guess that was for last week. So, let's talk about the Thanksgiving games. Obviously the first one, Detroit and Chicago. I mean, you kind of already talked about the Bears, but if you want to talk more about
I'll talk a little. I'll briefly because I did kind of ramble on a little bit with the Ravens. I did say no, Bears won at 16-14. I mean, I think it was about this as everyone was expecting it. Going into it, the fact that everyone was riding the Matt Nagy is getting fired the rumors as a certainty didn't really bode well. I think just for optimism watching the game, and I mean it was about as well as you could have expected it to go on. Really, I mean like the run was anemic. Receiving Mooney really solid again, another really good game from him. But I mean, it was just they matched up against Goff the second time this year. I went to the first game and it was really fun. Fields had some really, really, really good flashes. This game though, he's not playing. You're starting Dalton. There's not really much you can really go into it like super excited about other than it is a Thanksgiving game. That's kind of what you're riding. But it was just about if you're the Bears, you're kind of just hoping to not lose to the Lions. That's your pure motivation is to win. Is to not give the Lions their first win of the season. They were 0-9-1 going into it, 0-10-1 now, and they almost did. It came down to a field goal at the end of it. Granted, pretty obviously in the Bears' favor. Like I mean, everyone thought it was going to go in. Everyone was begging Cairo to miss it, but guy does not. Guy's nails.
Don't make the joke. Don't make the joke.
Man, yeah, no, that could have gone viral in the right situation, the right people find it. But everyone knows what we're talking about. I'm not going to say because I don't want to say it. Gave the Bears their fourth win of the season. They're 4-7. Definitely don't feel like they're 4-7. Feels like they're 0-10-1 like the Lions. But
hey, man, just don't give the Giants a good pick, okay? Or at least a great pick at this point.
Even if you give the Giants a good pick, they'll fuck it up.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's true.
they've had if you look at the picks they've had, they should be one of the best teams in the They should be the best team in the NFC East. They have gotten so many good first round picks, and they have messed up nearly every single one.
Yeah, I mean the biggest one they used on a desperation push to get Eli another chance at a playoff run.
They could have had Quentin Nelson. They could have had a future like for sure Hall of Famer in Quentin Nelson, and they decided they would like to pick a running back instead. And even though if they wanted to make the whole we want to win, we want to make Eli win, we want to have Eli go for one last push. Quentin Nelson helps them so much more than a running back does.
Yeah. Plus,
and you could have gotten Quentin Nelson and
don't tell Dave
Chubb.
Gettleman that.
And
you could have got Quentin Nelson. Yeah, Nick Chubb. Or any like okay back. And if you have Quentin Nelson, I'm promising you that you're going to get at least decent production out of your running backs.
Yeah.
But for the Bears though, I would say does any game matter that Justin Fields isn't playing?
That's what I was saying before we started recording is I don't even I'm really just tuned into Bears games. I'm having it's background noise when Justin's not on. That's basically my mentality right now.
That was basically
obviously
me last
year to
win. After Dak got hurt. I was like, the season is over.
Yeah.
I don't care how close we can get. Nothing matters.
Yeah, it would be great for the Bears to win. Obviously, if Justin Fields had 11 and 6, and had a great year, that's the ideal situation. But Justin Fields being good or on the field just matters more than you guys winning or not. If the Bears franchise is better this year going forward, if Justin Fields is good and they lost every single game that he played.
Yep, pretty much.
Even though they don't have that first round pick. Because, by the way, I mean, yes, that draft class is stacked outside of the quarterback position. The quarterback position is the most valuable position.
I am not missing that first round pick. We got Justin out of it. I am not missing it. Because
the Giants would, if the Giants had Justin Fields, they would have a lot less. They would have far fewer organizational questions than they do right now. Even though Justin Fields hasn't had a stellar rookie year, he's had his ups and downs. He's
performed exactly how you'd want him to perform for rookie of his caliber. Yeah, for a rookie in this situation, I'd say.
Yeah, he's performed how a rookie performs.
With a bad coach,
how a
high
ceiling rookie performs, to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah, not not every rookie has to be Dak Prescott or Justin Herbert I know you're talking about Baker, rookie Baker when he was
Dude, the best. Oh, go ahead.
No, you say because that was just yeah.
I was gonna say you would make I would make the argument the best rookie quarterback has usually never been the best quarterback in that draft class.
No question.
I remember 2018 Baker, the talk around him was insane. The dude, I was convinced the dude was going to be the guy. And then no one, Josh Allen was so was not good at all. And Lamar Jackson was oh, that's cool, I guess. He went to the playoffs. All right. Well, he can't throw the football, so who cares? And then you wouldn't think if you were 2018 draft class quarterback from the first round wins MVP. One's oh yeah, Baker Mayfield. Yeah, duh. It's no, it's Lamar Jackson. It's rookie performance, not really, not what we're.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not enough for me.
There's the exceptions, but you go maybe the last 5 or so years. Dak. Yeah, he ended up being the best one. I mean, 2017.
Yes.
I guess Watson Trubisky played more games, but I guess it was Watson because pure performance before he got hurt. I'd say Mahomes is the best,
Mahomes is very clearly.
Yeah, Mahomes is very clear. And then you go 2018, you talk about Baker. I mean, it ended up being, I would say Lamar. I like him more than Allen, but I could see.
It's definitely not Baker, though. That's the thing. That's the answer. It's not Baker. And that
2019, Kyler. Okay. Then
every other quarterback.
Then 2020.
His class was terrible. His class was terrible.
2020, it's Herbert still. I mean, Burrow's gotten closer to Herbert, but it's still Herbert.
But even in that situation, I would say, Burrow's rookie year and everything he had going on with his injuries and everything, it's not anyone who thought he was just never going to be good because of his rookie year, not because of pre-existing thoughts before the draft. They look foolish right now for good reason. Now I don't like Burrow because he's on the Bengals, so I will use any shot I can to tear down what he has done. But it was very clear that he wasn't just going to be rookie Joe Burrow for the rest of his career. Like that, not happening.
Look what happened when they improved the situation. I mean, they brought in Reef to be the right tackle. They already had a good left tackle. Invested some capital in their interior line, which had its big problems. And then they got him an elite weapon, and look at what happens. Like his noodle arm turns into an arm of steel when he throws down the field at Jamar Chase for some reason. It's kind of insane.
Exactly.
But yeah, I guess that's kind of like kind of a fair thing to say about Fields. But I mean, for the sake of time, I guess we'll move on to my next pain, my personal purgatory, the Raiders game. Oh my god. So I mean, I watched like the first quarter, then I had to go on a car ride to see family who are Raiders fans, by the way. So
That's tough.
yeah, because so I missed it. I missed most of the second quarter. Maybe it got silly. No, I think it was halftime when I arrived. Saw the third quarter. I mean, let me. But like, I'm not really summarizing what happened. Look, I don't know what's happened. Let me just talk about everything that went wrong, and then I could talk about some of the good things. Let me talk about everything that went wrong and why we lost this game. One, we didn't have our two good receivers. Our two elite receivers. Lots of awful drops that you know that those guys could have made. I mean, if guys like Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown could get open on those plays where they drop the ball, I have no doubt that Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb could and actually catch it. Number two, um awful penalties being taken. Some of them were ridiculously soft. Some of them I was like genuinely like pissed that the flag was thrown. Some of them were, come on, what the fuck are you doing? But just
I
a lot
swear
of
to God, watching that game, the refs had more screen time than some of the players. I swear to God.
yeah, like Anthony
It
Brown
was
took so many penalties on third down, key third downs that just
But the underthrown pass interference calls piss me off so much.
yeah, like
Like
come on.
that's an underthrown ball. That should not be PI. That's underthrown. That's not a if it's you have to I think they're way too lenient with what's considered catchable and uncatchable.
Yeah.
Like come on. Like there's that wasn't being caught. There's just no way I was being caught.
Yeah, like okay, at the very least, if you're gonna maybe call holding, okay, fine. If you want to call holding with like the uncatchable balls, go ahead. But pass interference, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Especially marked at the spot of the foul. Like the dude there's no way he was getting that ball. Zero chance. I would say zero chance.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean that just really, I mean, those penalties really pissed me off. And then I guess the other thing that went wrong, I mean, so the way Dak Prescott has played the past couple weeks, I I don't know what it is, but he misses like these wide open throws, and then he hits these amazing tight window throws like immediately after, and you like wonder what fucking quarterback you're watching. It's like
But that fourth quarter drive, man. That was
on,
some of those throws,
Mhm.
bro.
on one play, he's playing like he's Tua turned the ball over, and the next he's like fucking prime Aaron Rodgers.
He did the same thing against the Chiefs. Like he made so many mistakes that like rookie quarterbacks do.
Yeah, and then he
Like
hit these amazing throws.
not being able to read the defense. Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't say it was the reading the defense part that messed it up with the Chiefs. I would say that that game. I mean, there were both of those like end zone interceptions. He just underthrew. He underthrew
And
the ball.
maybe not reading the defense, but I mean they definitely pressure. I mean I don't know.
They
They
yeah.
maybe it was just maybe that's more of
The
a coaching thing,
pressure
not be
was
able to
getting
comment
to
the strategy
him.
because they pressure him a lot. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that kind of killed him.
Like
It
you
was
could
just a
even
lot of those mistakes you wouldn't expect Dak Prescott to make.
yeah. Like even when receivers were wide open, if there was like pressure on him, he would miss the throw. And like when I said he was missing wide open throws, he didn't miss them if he wasn't unpressured. If he felt like he was comfortable, he was making them. But when he was running around, even if the guy was open, it would be he would miss it. Maybe it'd be slightly off, and the receiver would drop it, and it's like kind of a mutual. All right, but should have been a better throw, but you should have held it in, kind of thing. But I don't know what it was, but tight window throw, he got it perfectly. It was kind of insane. Like, t- um, but yeah, but that and the penalties, and then of course, I mean overall, the pass rush should have probably done better on like a good deal of plays. I mean, Micah Parsons really took over as the game went on, but early in the game, Derek Carr had like way too much time to do a lot of things. The overtime drive, oh my, like that pissed me off. Noah Brown's drop, Anthony Brown's penalty. But I mean, big credit to Dak for stepping up in the fourth quarter when he was needed to, leading two like amazing drives down the field to get Dallas big points. Kind of pissed that we lost a touchdown to holding because that was like very big. But I mean, it's just one of those painful losses where I look at our record now and I say, well, we're probably out of the running for the bye in the top seed. We probably could still get the third. We'll see how that goes. But now you look at our records, you look at our upcoming schedules, and then you say, now I kind of have to think about the division again. Not because the Eagles are a good team, but because they basically play until the final game week of the year when they play us. They just play a bunch of like awful teams. I think they played the Giants and the football team twice over that span, which is like, come on.
And they own the Giants. They absolutely own the Giants.
Yeah. No, the football team has played them all the past couple of years. Like when the Eagles swept them in 2019, they were very close to beating them both times. And then in 2020, obviously Washington, they swept them back. But of course, that's Carson. That was Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson, different teams now. With Sirianni and Hurts, but. I mean, I'm still confident we can win it, but it's just annoying, like seeing the chatter on social media from a pretty delusional fan base that, all right, we're gonna go overtake the division now. We're gonna. That was crazy, and oh my god, the worst thing about losing Cowboy games on Twitter is that people will not shut the hell up about their perception on Trevon Diggs. Like, can I just?
Oh yeah, that's what's so, dude. I like no. There's the Trevon Diggs PFF grade tweets are just like, man. It's like people looking up, looking up the news, or people like refreshing people. I don't know that I can't think of a good analogy for this.
I can't even lie though.
It's ubiquitous.
Dude, during quarantine, I would be like at my computer screen refreshing the page for Baker Mayfield PFF upgrades because it would go up updates.
No. PFF upgrades for your team are different than PFF upgrades for like your rival teams. Though I think that's my
dude.
That's
there's
my
this
personal
one guy on
philosophy.
Twitter.
I totally same with you.
There's this one guy on Twitter. I see him all the time. And like every time I see him on my timeline, it's so weird. Like he's also a Bulls fan. I'd be like normally chill with him. He's like an Eagles fan, and he tweets so much about Trevon Diggs. It's like I always see it, and I'm like, how do you tweet this? What like what? Why are you looking for him this much? And like he went through one of his old tweets. Like he searched for it. And then saw a tweet where he like was telling a friend he's going up to Philly, and he's like, "Please don't." It's like what?
Oh
Like
my
why are
God,
you this obsessed with him? And like he's a cool guy,
I do feel
but like
if Trevon Diggs was in the
the need to ask
Cowboys,
you, Salt,
yeah.
after your rant. So feel free to get out of your system. I do feel the need to ask you: has your opinion on Diggs changed at all since you wrote your article a few weeks ago?
So like I'll get to that in a second. It's like, come on, man. Like you're a cool dude, but like, man, like there are better things to do than to just like go, like on like every other tweet just slander Trevon Diggs, and this is something that Eagles fans do in general. I mean, pretty much all of our division rivals are guilty of it.
Okay, well, Eagles fans, you just can't take it seriously. I just
To be fair,
you can't take Eagles fans
Giants
seriously.
fans do it a lot. I mean, Washington fans I see it less of, but like they still do it.
Okay, okay.
But like
Valid.
it's just super like annoying. It's like we get it, man. Like yeah, okay, yeah. You think this about Diggs? You don't need to like tell us that like every time, after every game. Like how like it's kind of like it reminds me like baseball fans like being like mad that like Tim Anderson is getting marketed like heavily. It's like this is a guy that is performing well in a very traditional stat, and to be fair, Anderson does perform good with like a lot of of course like newer ones, but like still these are guys that are they've performed well in very traditional stats, and they're very marketable people. Like, of course, the league is going to push them. That's how you
I
sell.
love his son.
Yeah, they're
Diggs'
fun.
son is so adorable. So
Yeah,
adorable.
and so
Yeah,
like
I know. I totally agree.
it's crazy to me. But I mean, I guess if you're talking perception since the article came out, um, to be honest, he had like a pretty bad game against Denver. He had a good game against Minnesota, which is like the day that dropped. Let me think. So after Denver played Atlanta, he was very good against Atlanta. Had an interception. That was one of the ones on more on the luckier side. Really bad throw by Matt Ryan, but he still came down with it. Um, I hate when people say Kyle Pitts beat him on that play. No, he didn't. Diggs was playing in help and got Pitts passed off to him after, like, I think it was a linebacker that initially took on Pitts, and then Matt Ryan just threw a poor ball. And then I think after that Chiefs game, didn't notice him. I think which is a good thing with corners when you really don't notice them and they're not having an INT or any
Yeah.
big breakups. And then Raiders game, he didn't get targeted. He got like targeted like once from my memory, and like it was like a pretty bad play. It was like to Deshaun Jackson, which got them their field goal before Dak tied it to go to overtime. But other than that, he played well. Like, he plays well. He might have a bad play in a game, but I don't think my stance has changed that much. Other than he hasn't been as great as he was the first month of the season. Even if you're like not talking interceptions, like just prevent like uh prevention, like he was playing at his best then. But he's still solid. I think he's still a good player. I just think he gets shat on a little too much. um
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
yeah.
I mean, I don't like. It's hard to change perception or anything in the time span, and I like. I mean, I've been watching him as intensely as you, obviously, so I can't really attest to anything you said like in a manner that would just give me a lot of credence. But I'm just I think you think that's a good answer. I mean, it's hard to just change perceptions on his skill set, especially knowing that like that's what it has. Like that's what you'd expect out of him
Yeah.
in just like a few weeks.
I actually watched, which is actually really convenient. I watched this film review of Trevon Diggs this season, because the guys like trying to answer the question. I mean, is Trevon Diggs just an INT merchant, or is he actually good? And one thing he pointed out is that Trevon Diggs looks at the quarterback pre snap, or
Yeah.
right after he snaps, instead of looking at the receiver, which is really interesting because he can kind of like guess from there, and that's why he plays so aggressively. And I mean, I do think there's obviously luck with the turnover rate. I mean, the dude was on a historic pace, and that's turnovers are very, 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 very volatile.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, if you're being an aggressive cornerback, it's going. I mean, there are the downsides of, yes, he's gotten burnt on a lot of plays, but I think as the season goes on, as his career progresses, I think he's going to be a lot smarter with his aggressiveness, and I think that type of play style, he's a freak athlete. I think that's going to ultimately, I mean, I think he's going to be one of the better corners in football. I don't think you can use, and I'm pretty sure PFF for cornerbacks is pretty fluky as well. Like, it's not great.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're really inconsistent.
their allocation for, like, the yards against that everyone uses against them, very inconsistent with Football Reference, very inconsistent with next gen stats.
Yeah.
Yeah. But are you talking about? I think his name is like Alex Rollins. Are you talking about his film?
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched that as well. Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, I came out of that with the opinion of, like, because I haven't really had a strong opinion on him, and I think that's another thing where people really want to have a strong opinion on a player when you don't need to have one. Like, Trevon Diggs isn't the best corner in football, nor is he the worst corner in football. He's not dog shit. He's not. I don't think he's elite, but I don't think he's dog shit. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to have the guy doesn't have to be like the worst or the best player in football or any sport for you to have an opinion on. They could be good, and I think he's a good corner. I don't think he's incredible, but I think he has the potential to be, because God, the athleticism with that guy.
Yeah,
But
and people forget he's new to the position. He converted to it in college.
wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, he's progressing well for what he is. He's progressing well.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the Cowboy game. I mean, it's the big defeating part of it is just that knowing that we're probably going to be playing on Wild Card Weekend and knowing we'll probably have to deal with the Rams in the first round, which is kind of a scary thought. It's kind of relieving knowing that the Packers have this kind of a tough schedule ahead. I mean, I think they play the Rams, they play the Ravens. Um, so those are a couple games we got to hope they'll drop. But pretty defeating knowing this was an easily winnable game. And not only that, but knowing because it was on Thanksgiving and not Sunday that we didn't have CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper going out there on the field.
Yeah.
Um, even to some, I think there was some belief that Demarcus Lawrence could have played today. Not today on Thursday, but I mean, from what I could tell, it's very possible he could have ended up playing Sunday. So that in itself, that's like three really big players that it's just absolutely devastating that weren't on the field. Um, but it's good knowing that we have guys coming back. Those two, Lawrence, Randy Gregory's coming back. It's good to know. But I guess one last frustrating thing, because we were talking about Diggs, Trevon Diggs and Anthony Brown have this weird thing where it's like, except for a few games, none of they seem to whenever one. It seems like neither really have good days on the same day, and it's kind of insane seeing that out of your number one or two like corner, like when
Is that
Diggs.
like a chemistry problem?
No, not that because that's not like a that doesn't really matter. But like, well, it kind of does, but like it's super minor. Like when Diggs had that great game against Tampa, Brown was the reason that was like a very big reason we lost. When Brown when Brown had a very good game, Brown had a very solid game against the Broncos. That was Diggs' worst game of the year. Like that's kind of how I view it. Um, but enough about like my long, long, long rant that's taking up way too much time. The Saints and the Bills. At this point, I was very sad. I was getting shit from Raiders fans. It wasn't fun, but I'm not sure this game was all that fun either. I mean, the Bills won convincingly, but also like kind of concerningly because Josh Allen has still like made some bonehead mistakes. Um,
Yeah.
Tre'Davious White is out for the year with a torn ACL, which is a very big blow for their defense. I would say Trey White, like up to this point, was like a top three corner in the league, and it's just unfortunate to see him go down like that. Um, but like, man, like it's kind of weird. Like the Saints, they were looking so good, and they went out and beat Tampa Bay, only for them to just fall off entirely. Um, they lost to Atlanta at home, their big rival. Like, and that's of course an important one. Like, if the Falcons went 2-14, 2-15, their two wins against were New Orleans, their fans would be buzzing. Um, but it's I guess it's still kind of questionable looking at those two teams. I mean, like the Bills, their status on top of the AFC East is now being challenged, and then with the and then, of course, on the other end of the coin with the Saints, it's just like they're fading out, and it seems like their playoff hopes are just dying before our eyes when they look so promising. Only 3 weeks before, 3 4 weeks, yeah. If anyone else kind of wants to just talk about either of those teams, go ahead.
I think we already covered them both pretty well, honestly.
Yeah, it was just it's one of those games where it's like the quarterback doesn't play well on the winning team or even on the losing team. I mean, you're just kind of like, okay, sure, that game happened.
You
That's
expect
good.
you expect Buffalo. Yeah, you just expect Buffalo to win. It's just kind of like how you try to evaluating the performances from there, seeing if it's like a blowout, or like a like just we won. We knew we were going to
Yeah,
win. It's just I mean it's hard to classify. It's hard to like really make like classify those, but you guys I think you guys know what I mean.
yeah. So I guess now we'll just do our predictions real quick. So Steelers at Bengals. Who are we going with here?
I'm gonna go with the Bengals here. I'm gonna pick the Bengals.
Yeah,
I think I just refuse
there
to
you go,
believe a
Ryan.
team led by Big Ben is going to be able to beat a team led by a actually good quarterback on a
Yeah,
consistent basis.
I
Like
think
I don't
This is
think
kind of a wait. I am not in the loop. Are TJ and Minka playing?
I think they should be, but I mean, even when I think I think maybe I don't remember if TJ was in their last game. I know Minka was, but the Bengals went in and beat Pittsburgh fairly conveniently in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they beat the crap out of them.
So that's kind of
I
why I'm
don't
gonna
know.
go
I mean,
Bengals.
the Bengals did skid a little bit, so I think they are prone. Like I
They
think
did just come off a
this
very
could go
dominant
both.
win, though.
I could see one both ways. I mean, yeah, but still, I don't know. It's just I have my doubts. I mean, it's against the Raiders team that's been through a lot, and I mean a lot in the last few weeks. So I'm gonna go Bengals, but I could see it. I could see it kind of petering
Yeah.
on.
Link, who are you
Yeah,
picking here?
because I mean, you have to also. I'm going with the Bengals because you also have to consider. The Steelers did score 37 against the Chargers.
Fair enough.
Are coming off. So,
Link, who's your pick here?
I will go with Cincinnati. They beat them before. They'll beat them again.
All right. Next one.
yeah, also
Panthers at
yes.
Dolphins.
Panthers.
I'm gonna go Dolphins just for the sake of like kind of an upset. I'd say.
I will go with the Dolphins as well because that would be funny.
It would be
also
funny,
gonna
but
go with? I'm gonna also go with Miami. I mean, they had a good win against New York. The Panthers, yes, Cam Newton's back, and that was a really nice Cardinals game. And then everything, went back down to reality against Washington.
Yeah.
Still,
Here's a chance for an "I told you so" moment, Steven. All right. Eagles
Yeah.
at Giants. Who are we going with here?
Eagles.
Yeah, the Giants have never shown a consistent ability to not have a heartbreaking loss to the Eagles. So until they have shown that ability, like I'm sorry, it's gonna. You know how it's gonna end too. They're gonna be up 7. The Eagles will come down, drive downfield, score a touchdown. The Giants will have a 3 and out, and then the Eagles will kick a 55-yard field goal and win it.
Yeah. Link, who are you
Basically.
picking?
I'll also pick Philadelphia.
I'm gonna just go for the upset because I hate the Eagles and no other reason. Just out of
Upset.
pure spite, I'm picking the Giants.
That's based.
I gotta respect that. I just gotta respect it. Yeah.
All right. Titans at Patriots.
Patriots.
Pats.
Patriots, yeah.
Even though I want to pick Ryan
Titans
Tannehill to win because I love that man.
If the Titans were healthy, I think this could go either way. But the Patriots have been
healthy
playing
Titans against an over 500
they've been playing
team.
with this team flawlessly. Yeah, and the Titans are they're just cooked. They're fried.
Falcons at Jaguars. I'm going Atlanta.
Matt Ryan is putting now that my PFP changed for Matt Ryan, he's gonna awaken, and he's going to go back to his not MVP form, but like being a good quarterback form. I cursed him.
I agree. I think we'll win this one.
Link, who's your pick here?
Yeah, Atlanta.
All right, Bucks at Colts.
Bucks. Taking the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bucks.
Tampa.
I'm not gonna doubt the Colts, but yeah, it's just because it's the Bucks.
It'll be very close. It'll be a very good game.
Jets at Texans.
I feel bad for everyone who has to watch this one.
I just don't think we need to say who's going to win this because whoever wins loses.
Who's the?
It's Zach
Do
Wilson.
we know who's quarter? Okay. I'm gonna pick the Jets. I'm gonna pick the Jets.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna pick the Jets.
You know what?
I think Jets will take a commanding. I think they're going to take a commanding 10-7 victory in Houston.
Yeah, I can see that.
Is Tyrod? I don't think Tyrod's playing this week.
Is he hurt again?
I don't know.
Isn't Deshaun? Wait, wasn't Deshaun supposed to come back or no? Or no, wait, never mind. I'm an idiot.
No, yeah, Tyrod's playing still. Yeah, but Tyrod has not been nearly as good since he came back. That was
my bad. That was my bad.
Those first 2 games. So.
Oh my God! You can get tickets for $3. This is Zach Wilson's also slated to return, so he can go back to his form, which was certainly a form. Enough stalling. Give me Houston.
All right.
Houston. Yeah.
For this next one, Chargers at Broncos. Are we doubting the Chargers here? Any of us?
Nope.
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 No.
All
Let's
right.
fucking go Chargers.
Vikings at 49ers.
Mm,
Look,
I'm gonna take.
man, this is actually a pretty tough one.
I'm gonna take Maga Kirk.
yeah,
I think I might have to take MAGA Chad too.
dude,
Honestly,
I'm
because
thinking
they're riding a hot streak.
any other month of the year, I would take the Niners, but it's Kirk Vember, and you know what happens in Kirk Vember.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, that's true. I
Lock
forgot
it in.
about
Yeah.
Lock it in.
that. Trust.
Where are you going here, Link?
Give me San Francisco.
All right, I respect it. Certainly, Garoppolo's
I don't
been hot.
respect it.
Garoppolo's
I
been
respect it.
hot too. I think actually, like he's not played good competition, but after that Colts loss, he's been kind of hot. I mean, he's always been hot in the other way, but like hot in the football way now.
Yeah, I got you.
I
Rams
didn't
at
disagree with either statement.
Rams at Packers.
That's a tough one.
I'm taking future Cleveland Brown, Aaron Rodgers. He's been dying to play. He's been dying to play in Cleveland.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Green Bay here as well, just because it's in Lambeau.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was.
Yeah.
That was my reasoning behind it. I mean, can't go
Okay,
wrong
no,
with
we
that.
can't go 3-0. I gotta pick the Rams. If we go 3-4 Green Bay,
That's fair.
I can't do it for a game that's gonna be this close. It's
Yeah,
not gonna
that's
happen.
kinda-
The
yeah,
Rams.
that's
Well,
fair.
I'm going with my Matthews. Oh shit, I forgot Matthew Stafford's on the Rams. Oh yeah, no, Packers are gonna cream them, but Rams. Still going with Rams.
All right. You can't lose, Steven. You can't lose.
I cannot lose. I refuse to.
Browns at Ravens.
I'm like DTF.
The Ravens are going to bend the Browns. They're dropping 35, and the Browns are going to be lucky to score 10.
Yeah.
It's going to be ugly.
I'm
Baker
gonna go with
Mayfield's going to
Baltimore.
get shit on.
I feel like this is gonna be like a
Yeah,
low scoring game, kind of, but like
This
kind
is
of that low
the
scoring
this is
game.
the
that's
Baker Mayfield
over.
on the clock game.
If Baker Mayfield has a dime, plays like an absolute gem of a game on Sunday Night Football against the Ravens, I will take anything back. I will wear the headband that I got, the Baker Mayfield headband, for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll never take it off.
I feel like it's gonna be like that, like 20-10 game for some reason. Like the Ravens offense will do enough, but it's not one of those like peak Ravens offense games.
Yeah.
The Browns defense
This is
that good.
This is a legacy game for Baker Mayfield. This is the game that determines whether next. For me, these are one of the games.
He's on the clock. He's on the clock.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, as much as a Lions stinker is embarrassing, I would take a Lions stinker if he just drops 3 touchdowns on the Ravens. Like that'd be cool with me. Like you can stink it up against the Lions if you play well against the Ravens.
Link, who are you going with here?
I'm going to Baltimore.
All right.
Yeah.
Seattle at Washington.
Man,
Wanna go with?
It's gonna be bad.
I'll say Seattle. I think Seattle finally puts it all together. I feel like they've played too poorly this year with Russell Wilson for them to not put it together at some point. And I think this is the point in which they put it together.
Yeah, I like Seattle here as well.
I agree with that. I mean, I guess I don't know. I'll go with Seattle.
Link.
No, I mean, I don't know. Washington has played quite well these last 2 games. I'm gonna go with them.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Now that we've done predictions, it's hot stove time. Yeah. We're gonna put off some more. I mean, how much longer can we put off some of the hockey stuff and basketball stuff lately? But that will come soon because this is running
I mean, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I guess let's start with the Mets just going on a big spending spree.
So they are.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone was surprised. I was surprised they spent that much yesterday alone, because like they needed hitting the least, and they spent all their money on hitting, and on kind of old hitting at that. And I don't think any of the acquisitions they had were bad. I mean, I don't think they're like all like. I don't think Eduardo. I don't think like Eduardo Escobar or Marquand is like a superstar player, but they're like depth. And the one thing that Mets really lacked last year was depth. Like they have top end talent. They could like Lindor having a really good season is like completely not out of hand. Like and Alonso's really good. Like they have guys at the top of the order there who they can rely on. They just need guys who can fill it out, or like if guys get hurt,
They had
just
a
like
lot of
help
guys on
help
their
fill it in and
team
stuff.
that really just declined because of the dead end ball. The ball's not being juiced anymore. It was just pretty awful
Yeah.
for their play.
They just had a lot of guys who were due for regression because the 60-game season, like, I mean, it really boosted what people thought of Conforto and Dom Smith, but I mean, they're not great. I mean, no, Conforto's a good player, but he kind of had a down
With
year, but he's
Dom
definitely
Smith,
not good.
30% line
But
drive
Dom
rate. That was
Smith,
not
yeah,
maintaining.
Dom Smith's not that good. He's like a decent, he's like an okay depth guy, I guess, at worst. But he's not a guy you're filling
he's
out
a
the
guy
lineup
they
with,
should
that's
have.
for sure. But the
He's
guys
a
they got
guy
are guys who
that
fill up line.
if he was a guy that if Robinson Cano wasn't coming back and the universal DH comes out could fit there, but
Mhm.
like nowhere else really.
Exactly. That's a really good way to put it. I mean, yeah, for like I think they're hitting. I mean I thought it was going to be solid anyway, but I think now it's like this is what they really needed to go for it, and I think they did. I think they still got to focus on pitching, but all indications say they're going for it. But for what they spent on Marte, I mean Nimmo was good in center field last year defensively, but moving him to the corners no one's really complaining about that. I'd say with Marte in the lineup. Granted, Marte, the one thing about him is I think he's got a really solid ceiling, but his 2021 was like a 100th percentile outcome for the guy. Like he was so good last year that like they got the best. Like he was like they got the best out of his base running without question. Like he's not replicating that. So you got to have a good you got to be able to like have like guys in place that can give him good situations or like just let give him good green lights and just make sure to use them the best they can because he could totally be worth that $80 million if he got that. But on the other hand, you got to be wary of he can disappoint what relative to his 2021. That's my only gripe with him. But he's a very solid player. He killed my team for years, so you can take it from me. He's a good hitter. He's got really good contact. He's always going to steal bases. It's just what are you going to get out of him? But the Mets they'll do well with him, no question about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they just really need depth. They put it together really well. I mean,
yeah, and even though you're not going to get the same percentile outcome out of Marte, you're still going to get a good outcome out of him. I'd say, like you're definitely
exactly.
Yeah, he's not going to hit maybe 2021 heights, but 2022 could certainly be a very good year for him.
I think he stole like over 40 bases last year. I don't think he's going to do that again. I do think that as long as you can let me fact check this real quick. Yeah, he stole 47 bases last year and was caught stealing 5 times. So that's like insane. He had 12.3 base running runs, and to have 1.2 of your WAR be from base running, that's like impossible to replicate. He was that good. Period.
My question is
But
I think
he's a plus defender.
I was about to bring up his defense because there was some variance of his defensive results from Miami and Oakland. And I'm thinking, what side of the coin are we going to see in that variance? Are we going to see the dominant defender in Miami or more of the not that good defender, out of Oakland? Because I think I've heard something. I mean, you could say it was like there was some park factors that went into it, and how like City could affect that. I know OAA loved him a lot more than DRS did.
I was going to mention that after you're done, but yeah, glad you brought it up. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely working with a lot of questions for Marte because he's not a high floor. I mean, he's kind of a high floor guy relative to his ceiling. He's not a high floor guy. Is basically what I'm trying to say here because he's not like a guy who hits for power, but you're getting a solid profile out of him. The 4th year, it's going to be kind of you'll get mixed reactions. I think in general, because he's going to be 37 at that 4th year hits, and it's guaranteed. I think people would like that in a team option, just in case something, some of it progresses, goes south. Because he is 33 right now, like a speed defense profile like his at 33 years old. It's a risky gamble, but I mean, I think it's a good signing, and I think the Mets are.
Yeah.
hopefully they can get like Gossman or Ray. I think they've been going after because they might have to give up that 14th overall pick, which it seems like they'd be willing to do for the right price. And I can't really blame them because I think Robbie Ray is better than who you get at pick number 14. But I mean, yeah, no, they're building a solid squad. Hopefully just filling out some of those other holes and be pretty good. I mean, I think as anyone else have anything to say with the Mets, or because I feel like we've milked it a little bit more than we should have. But if anyone's got a particular love for a free agent they acquired, or
I think
anything,
I like Escobar as a
thoughts.
bridge, especially because they have.
I do, yeah, I really do too.
They do have good third base prospects, and
they do, yes, no question.
Especially like Brett Beatty, so that's a really good bridge.
Even Vientos, I mean, he's a guy you could see stepping in and getting reps to see if them, just to kind of see how the Mets like. I mean, I know he's been kind of on and off, but not bad. Hopefully can definitely be a depth guy there.
I kind of like, with Canha, it's kind of reinforcing kind of a bit of the Mets' philosophy in the outfield, which is they don't really care too much about that fielding aspect in the outfield. What they really care about in their outfielders is that ability to get on base, like with Brandon Nimmo. Even though he's improved as a fielder, still that's his driver as a player, his ability to get on base.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're not afraid to like have a versatile lineup because they have power and they have it's just they're not going after one type of profile player, which you'd like to see, especially for a team like I said, who's trying to fill out that depth. Canna's like your number one guy for that.
Yeah, and then I guess we can now talk about the thing that kind of motivated the Mets to kind of go crazy, mythically we can imagine it, because Steve Cohen kind of tweeted, I would say somewhat unprofessionally in his anger, Steven Matz going to the Cardinals.
Oh yeah,
that was a signing. From what I could tell, it seems like the Cardinals were just willing to give out more term than every other team was.
I think the fourth. I mean, I don't really have any insider sources, but in my eyes, I think that fourth year was probably the big decider for him because he's 30 years old, and people were talking. There were concerns about like the velo being a big part of his profile and how that's going to age. Because I mean, next year he's going to go into next year basically. I mean, basically turns 31 on Memorial Day. So if you think about that, it's 2 months into the season. I mean, he's the fourth year. It's pretty big when you're looking at like a guy you're getting $11 million a year, and that's a good pitcher. He's a solid. I think he can be a decent 3 on the staff, no questions. But it's velo reliant. You just gotta, it'll scare some teams away. Some teams will be willing to be more risky on it. I just think that for Mets, that fourth year was pretty big in terms of separating the Cardinals from a lot of other squads because there were a lot of interest in him. I mean, even if you look at the Cubs, same division, just like that proximity, like there was really strong interest in the guy. He's because rightfully so, he's a solid pitcher, but it's just the fourth year.
Yeah. That's just the way. I mean, I view it similarly. It's like with Matz, that's just how it is. I think he's a solid pitcher. I think is he more of a ground ball guy?
Yeah. He is, but his sinker is pretty untraditional because it's like a high active spin sinker, or high spin efficiency sinker. I'm not sure. I don't think anyone who's listened to this besides Ryan knows what I'm talking about exactly. But basically, he throws it high, and that's how it works. It works well up there. It's kind of like Blake Trinan's old sinker when he was on the A's when he was working really well and he had that like 1 ERA season. Kind of threw that pitch.
It's kind of like. I mean, this isn't the best comparison, but like. Sometimes when Giolito uses the high curve, I know it's a different pitch and everything, but like that, a pitch in an untraditional location. That's kind of the way I
exactly. That's more. Yeah. I could totally see that because it's changeup. It does kind of like fall.
High sinker as a concept is underrated though because you're thinking it's like because I mean conceptually I'm just putting it in my head. It's like. It's up to a point where like the batter might think, all right, this is a clear ball, and then it just sinks into the strike zone. That's kind of a move right there.
Yeah, it's just kind of like it just feels like kind of a force. I don't know. I'm not super into I don't super know how the high sinker works. Like I can like visualize it conceptually. What you said makes sense, Salt. it's just for me, like when just the certain arm slide and act and spin efficiency of his profile, it's just the high sinker, and he commands it really well too. That sinker changeup combo is no question one of the best in the league. It's just his curveball's kind of an pitch, and outside of that, he doesn't really use any of his other pitches. But that sinker changeup combo is really deadly.
Yeah,
Commands them both super well.
That's fair enough. And yeah, just like as you said, it's like it's insane just thinking about like you know just like when you were talking about like just how like those certain pitches work and like dude, it's insane when like you're like to me because I don't go into like deep as this as you do. I'm just hearing about all of this and like I'm picking it up as you explain it, but like when I
Mhm.
first hear, I'm like whoa.
Yeah, it's like this pitch must suck. High sinker. Like, why the hell would that pitch be good? It's just
Yeah.
the quirks of pitch design, I suppose. Ryan's the only pitcher here, so he knows better than all of us, I'd say. But
Yeah.
My sinker is terrible, unfortunately.
What's your go?
yeah.
What's your go-to?
Ryan's only good pitch is his cutter. His cutter's nasty, but all those other pitches are probably.
I actually can't for some reason. I haven't figured out how to throw my get fully behind my fastball, so I just have decided to go with a sinker and a cutter, and I can't throw four seamer well.
Damn.
So I'm just going
No,
to.
his cutter's nasty, man. I've seen the tape on his cutter.
The prime Kenley
The
Jansen cutter.
my wiffle ball.
Yeah, he's got the Mo cutter.
Fucking
He's got the Mo
insane.
cutter.
Like in wiffle ball, what I do, I just I just go full on 12 o'clock, just come up straight down with that shit, and it's beautiful. We play wiffle ball in gym, and I'm just so ready for when in April.
Yeah,
we're doing weight
it's
training right now.
gotta be over.
So I was throwing pretty hard before the weight
over.
training, and so I'm assuming that with the wiffle ball after weight training, bro, I'm so ready to just fucking pump cutters in the middle of the strike zone and let them dart to the outside and see my fellow classmates swing and miss. It's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah. Dude, you gotta like set up a camera, dude. We gotta be like looking. We gotta be like live stream. You gotta be like live.
I'm gonna stream. Yeah, I'm gonna stream it for Twitter. I'm gonna have
tune into Ryan Garcia's gym class.
The teacher who I do who runs the school newspaper is the guy who also runs the student government. I should ask him if we can do a wiffle ball tournament, and I'll live stream that shit, and I will dominate. I'm gonna do the career celebration. I'm gonna hit a home run and do the career celebration. It's my time.
Speaking of Correa, I mean this is like the perfect like.
Oh, that's a great segue.
That was incredible.
That was like incredible. Shortstop market, it's crazy.
Yeah, none of them have signed yet, but it sure as hell feels like one of them has. And I mean, like the lockout's coming really soon, and it's pretty conceivable that a shortstop or two could come off the market. Yeah, at least one of them. I feel like it's pretty conceivable that because the market's heating up for all of them for sure. And I'd even throw Semien in there. I know he's kind of like a second baseman, but I'm including him in the shortstop market.
I think it's
so you're looking at like 5 main guys right here
because there's certainly there are certainly teams out there that could view him as one. Now, from what I could tell, the players in the market for Semien, they aren't really not viewing him as a shortstop. They just more have a shortstop that would probably be there at short ahead of him. Like Blue Jays, I mean, they're going to keep playing Bichette at short, obviously. You look at the West Coast, which is where he's had his interest in. Dodgers, Trey Turner. Giants, Brendan Crawford. Mariners, J.P. Crawford. It's less, I think he'll more likely to just be second base because there's going to be someone blocking him playing short rather than like maybe a team's trust in him playing short or whatnot from like the interested parties.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting, his defensive shortstop, because I mean, I don't know if anyone here has been around long enough to know that it's been a pretty controversial topic in the Twitter sphere for a few years now.
He was like very elite at short until 2020, and then
yeah, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was elite. I mean, I think it was kind of like the DRS OA thing with Marte we've talked about. It's kind of like the reverse for Semien because he was because DRS loved him at shortstop before 2020. But OAA didn't like him as much, and there was like I don't remember exactly like the reasons why and everything, like the whole ins and outs of it, as well as I did. But I think it was like a lot of people were just thinking, the fact that he had Matt Chapman at third, it did kind of like it helped buoy his shortstop defense in terms of how DRS viewed it.
Yeah, definitely. But he didn't always have Matt Chapman at third, I think. I mean,
He did, but his elite years he did. So that's
like when he peaked in
Why do you have
2019.
positive DRS this year at shortstop? Because
he had 11 in 2018 and 7 in 2019.
Yeah. No, I'm saying
2020 short sample -6. He had 1 this year, but he only had 134 innings. So
yeah. So what do we
it's
think
not
about
a big
this?
sample.
Like,
I think he can play shortstop. I mean, I think teams agree he can play shortstop. I mean, at the very least, his hit profile is going to age well, but I think still, you're still paying for the defense, and I think they could
I think teams want to maximize his defensive
definitely
value and play him at second.
I think some teams could definitely see that, but he's going to get paid like a shortstop. It's kind of like.
He'll get paid.
I think if they're going to view him like that,
I think he'll get paid like a shortstop, but still probably end up playing second. Like I said, I think the players in his market have their shortstops. It's not really about his ability there. But we know he can give you elite defense at second. I mean, that's like undeniable.
Yeah, that's true. And so he's got that,
the way I view his mark is I think he can get something. I know, like, I'm comparing to a guy in a different position, but more because of the age profile, and like I feel like he can get similar money to like what George Springer got. High AAV, 150 million to 170 million range, depending on the years he gets.
He might get 7 years. That's what some people are saying.
If he gets 7 years, then he can break 200 for sure. But I'm thinking he'll get. I think he gets 5 to 7. Somewhere in that range.
Yeah, that's a good range. That's a good range. That's a good range.
Yeah, I can see
6 years is good. 6 years is good. 6 years, like 25 to 30 million AAV or something like that.
It's gonna be To me, it's very interesting where he's going. I've heard the Yankees are players. However, what I've also heard is that like it seems like he prefers the West Coast if he's not going to be in Toronto. I think, which might hurt their prospects. But I mean, it also seems like the Yankees are far more interested in the Seager and Correa markets, regardless.
Yeah.
As for the West Coast, Giants are like more of his hometown team, but the most like active pursuals that I've heard is like Seattle and like Toronto, and then LA and San Francisco are more linked just because they have the money to spend. So if they do want to be active in his market, they like certainly can, and their interest will certainly go reciprocate.
He's a good fit for San Francisco, though. I can't deny. Like, he's a really strong fit there. If he's willing to play second, or if they're willing to pay him, if it comes down to it, because he's going to be their second baseman. Like, that's a really good defensive middle infield, and it's just a really strong fit.
I call me biased. I love the fit in Los Angeles like insanely well because the total money commitment.
I think that fits there too.
The total money commitment isn't going to be as ridiculous as it would be to retain Seager or even go after Correa because he's a lot older.
And it allows you to move like Trey to short.
Yeah, you can put Trey at short, which I think if you're going to end up re-signing Seager,
he's a serviceable shortstop defender.
He's a better defender at short than Seager is, in my opinion. Even if it's been more marginal lately, I still prefer it. But I think to me it's like I look at it and I go, okay, this is I look at Semi in comparison. If we want to keep Trey Turner around, which I think the Dodgers do, you're probably not going to want to bring Correa in because Trey Turner is like guaranteed not going to play short if Correa signs. You might. Yeah. I don't know what would happen if Seager's brought in. He might continue to play short just because he's the incumbent. Ideally, if he does resign, I'd rather Seager play third, and then give Trey short, especially if there's a universal DH, and then put Turner at that DH spot. But for the Dodgers, I mean, I guess I could just talk about the Dodgers, situation fit. I think that Marcus Semien is like the best fit on the market. he hits the ball like crazy out to left, and would certainly hit a lot of home runs in Dodger Stadium. He's honestly a good fit in the NOS as a whole. His I know it's not the most important thing, but you look at the way his like home run balls are, and like they basically are out. They are basically good as gone in like most any NOS ballpark.
He's going to
Yeah.
kill it in Coors Field when he goes down there because, my God, is that great for right-handed pull hitters.
Yeah. And like that's just that's just how I see it. Like I would love him in LA. I would dread him being in San Francisco. That would
I hated facing him in Toronto, and you will hate facing him if you have to.
He's gonna be very good wherever he goes. But the
Yeah.
Dodgers Giants too good fit for him. One of my main questions here, because I do kind of want to gauge your guys' thoughts on this, because I feel like in this shortstop market, the biggest afterthought thus far, or like, and you've heard all these rumors and everything. I hope you guys did. You guys hear me just there? Because I just
Yeah,
want to
I
make
heard you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Trevor Story's been kind of the big afterthought in here because like we've heard like all these negotiations ongoing for like Baez. We've heard the players for Correa and Seager as the top dogs, but Story, I mean, he still got the qualifying offer attached to him. We definitely got to know that because he didn't get traded.
Yeah.
But he's kind of the afterthought. I was just curious. What do you guys think a team's gonna like how like you who do you see as his like best suitors right now? Like who do you think's gonna make a play for him? And
I
like
think
where
he
does
goes
he
to
land?
Boston.
I just gauge in general thoughts.
Boston.
I
Things are in Boston.
I think
Interesting.
Boston would consider it. First of all, I think there's like two questions to ask about Story. One, is he gunning for a 1 or 2 year with like maybe a 2 year with a player option possibly to up his market more next year when the competition is at most going to be Trey Turner, who, let's be honest, the Dodgers will probably keep around, or
Yeah,
is he going to just or is he going to cash in now? Because I think that changes significantly what his market is. Um, I think if he's willing to take that more of a bridge, I think that kind of opens up the possibility that the Yankees and the Dodgers will look his way. Um, Otherwise, I think then we're going to see definitely one of the smaller players get him. Whether I think that could be the Phillies, I think that's a possibility. They just need to find someone to dump Didi onto. I think before that's really happening. Could it be? I think it could be Texas. I mean, the Rangers are looking for a splash.
Mhm.
Um, it could be Detroit. There's rumors that they're looking at Javier Baez though right now, so we'll see what happens there. I think Baez prefers to stay with the Mets, but definitely this is a mechanism to try to if he engages with Detroit over a deal, definitely it will perk the Mets' attention. Uh, but with Story, I could see it's like I like Philadelphia, I like Texas, I like St. Louis. I mean the Cardinals could look at a shortstop. I think they will look at the market. I'm not sure if they will be serious players, but they'll certainly examine it.
I don't think I totally agree with that. I don't think they're gonna like really go
Yeah.
after. I think Story would make the most sense. Then the big thing about Story though is if he does take that, like I could see him taking that like short term kind of deal, like a Semyon deal to like, hopefully get in a better market and go and just bet on himself.
Yeah.
But the big thing is that Semyon didn't have that qualifying offer attached. He does. So that's like where some teams might get a little bit more hesitant to like
Yeah.
be like, I want to, like they'd be like, I want to gamble on you. I just don't want to gamble on you for one season and get this draft pick.
Yeah, and
Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's where you gotta. That's
I
where you gotta
also
think about it.
like, but I think another team that I like, and I mean, I really like the prospects of him going to this team. I mean, I hate it because of the team I'm about to mention, but I think I like the prospects of the Astros getting a Story.
Yeah, for
Yeah, that's
sure.
not bad.
Because I don't think
They're gonna make.
Story. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't think Story is demanding the sheer the term and the money to like Correa is to be like I want to beat out Francisco Lindor. I think Story is just gonna if he wants the longer term, he's gonna take what he can get over like a 5-6 year deal, and I think that's right up where the Astros want to spend.
Yeah, and I think one thing they can do with him is that, I mean, their hitting lab is incredible. And I think Story just being able to pull a bunch of fly balls in Minute Maid for home runs will help him a
Yeah,
lot.
he's got the shit. What's that?
Um, forget, but
Yeah, and even if he's not great, like if he's, I honestly, if he's not great, like he's like a 115 WRC plus with good defense, like I think that the Astros would be happy with it.
yeah, exactly.
Personally, I think I'd be okay with like okay, I'm just gonna give the Cubs an arbitrary example so you guys like to set up this scenario. Like I'd be okay with my team, like with the Cubs giving him like six, like offer him like a long term deal because I do think that like the concerns about him not performing outside of Colorado, which I think would be like the one inhibitor to the market outside of just the other shortstops because he's still really young and I think he still could get a lot of money. It's just that kind of like the whole question about how he perform outside of that. I don't take it as a huge concern personally because I think I think his power is going to play pretty much anywhere because he definitely does have good power. And I think that like last year, the hitting concerns, I'm also not too concerned about that. He's still young and he's still been really good. It's just, I feel like that's going to be the a pretty big factor when judging how his market's going to go because again, this is a really deep market. He might not get as much as he would getting like in if he was the top dog, which he might value, which he might factor in. But again, you are losing value if you forego your market in terms of your age. In this case, he is gambling on himself. There is that risk reward factor. And again, I think that's going to be kind of what teams are going to look at or how teams view what they think of his performance outside of Colorado.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I mean, like ideally, you would if you're Houston, I would say maybe like a 120, 125 range WRC plus with that good defense. That's what you definitely would love to see. Um,
Yeah, that's that.
as a
Yeah, that you
valuation.
pay big bucks for that.
Um, and I think that's the other thing that's not being talked about in the market. The oversaturation of good shortstops is hurting each other's value in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They're playing them off of each
Yeah,
other. Um, so
exactly.
like why pay Correa 350 million when you can half that price when you can have the price and still come away with Trevor Story. Now obviously you're getting a much better player, but it's still something to think about from a valuation standpoint and team building. Allocating you're still allocating, less resources to still getting something like very good and then having the flexibility to allocate resources elsewhere. Um,
I get that. I get that mentality. Yeah, in this market, you're definitely able to do that a lot because you're able to kind of wait out some of these shortstops. Some might get like kind of desperate or get antsy because they're playing with each other, and the owners are kind of just watching,
yeah,
and then they're picking and choosing from there.
but I guess now if we want to do some predictions on these shortstops, who do we want to start with these picks? Do we want to start with Correa? Just go with the top dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Where do we think he's going?
I think I think he's a Yankee. I think with the reports about Detroit being aggressive with Baez, I do think he's a Yankee. I think that
See,
ultimately, if you take Detroit out of the bidding, who else is really going to be able to shell out the money for him that really wanted him?
Yeah, exactly. That's
yeah,
when
yeah.
and that's when you're talking.
Now
That's when
you
it
go
becomes
further.
a story of ifs, like are the Dodgers going to be playing for Correa? Well, like doesn't seem like it. But if they do, then things change. But yeah, for now, I think the Yankees are the safe bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Ryan was saying, but for me, I was kind of leaning towards Texas a little bit more. And I know Texas has been like, they haven't like really talked about his players in his market, but they do really want to spend. They do really want to kind of get out of that rut. I think Correa's the move you make if you're a team in that situation. I think like if you want to establish yourself, he's the guy. I don't think any concerns have come out yet about whether or not they'd be willing to shell out the money for him. And I think if you're definitely looking for like the secondary target, it's the Yankees. For me, I'm just going to go with Texas right now.
All right.
All right.
What are you thinking here, Link? Where do you think Correa is going?
A lot of points have been made for either side, but I think at the end of the day, I think he's going to be in pinstripes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which ones?
Nah.
Oh,
The Yankees ones, Bob. What do you think?
no. 'Cause every time I tweet out, "Oh, you will be in pinstripes," everyone's like, "Yes, orange and blue." Like, okay, man.
No.
All right.
Bunch of trolls.
So where are we
Can't trust
thinking?
anyone these
Where
days.
are we thinking Corey Seager's going?
Corey Seager, you are a Yankee.
Corey Seager, you are going back to the
Basically,
Dodgers.
I basically, for me, yeah, the secondary target for Correa is who's getting Seager. So
Yeah.
for me, that's the Yankees.
That's the interesting thing.
Oh,
I
wait,
feel
you're
like
right.
I feel like a weird debate that no one has. That's like kind of pointless, but kind of has impact. Is like who's gonna sign first between the two? Because one signing completely changes the market for the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that
You know what? I think my opinion is going to change. I'm not going to have going back to the Dodgers. I'm going to have it going to the Rangers. That was you made a very good point about the Rangers being desperate to spend. They want to spend.
Yeah, I think
Exactly.
Friedman is definitely going to make an aggressive push to keep Seager around. In the end, I think he's going to price himself out of retention with Trey Turner and the like heavy investment into him. So I actually was going to say like Texas as well. Um, I honestly think at this point, with the whole Detroit and what they're doing, I think it's basically I think the Yankees and Texas are going to split Correa and Seager. It's just a matter of who, and then it's also a matter of
That's what I was
and
thinking.
also it's a matter of how much the Dodgers are willing to ramp up their interest on and desire to retain Seager, or if they truly want to go after Correa, which is far less likely, but still like a possibility.
Right.
What are we thinking for Javier Baez?
Detroit.
I think
I think
the
the Mets
Mets.
are still in play for him, but with all they've done, I think they're kind of focus on pitching now. I think he's probably going to go to the Tigers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go with the Mets here. That's just been my gut feeling from the start. I don't think I'm gonna change that. I think the Mets will make something aggressive. I just think it's a matter of like when rather than otherwise. It seems like the Mets have just been making so many moves that like until the kind of the main target is kind of finalized, or whoever's closest is finalized, kind of the other things are kind of under the wraps until that point. Like we didn't hear too much about the Mets and Gosman until after all the like their big spree yesterday, and that's a big rumor right now. But I don't think we'll really have time to talk about the pitching market today. But I think I'm gonna go with the Mets. Who are you thinking, your Link?
You know what? I think the Mets may be willing to spend more than Detroit on this. I'm gonna go with the Mets.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take there, Link. I'm not going to lie, but I respect it. I respect it.
All right, and then for Story, I mean, we talked about him earlier, but I talked about Texas before, so I really think so we're the Yankees are out. I'd assume he wants some terms, so I'm going to take the Dodgers out. To me, it's between Houston and Philadelphia. And I think in the end, Dombrowski's a far more aggressive spender, and he's probably going to I think he's going to go to Philly.
I will say that I think he goes to Boston.
What are you?
I think both of them have good fits. Definitely they need a shortstop for Philly. Honestly, for me, a big kind of a little bit of a sleeper player is the Mariners, because I feel like they're definitely gonna kind of be scouring over this market, and I think there's still a need for them to get a short. I mean, obviously, I know people are talking about them possibly trading for Jose Ramirez, but I think they're still be playing in the shortstop market. I don't know. I don't really want to be sleeping out of them yet, but I think they'd probably be content waiting on Noelve with their hitting core for now.
Yeah.
Probably say he'd go to the
I think
Phillies.
they're more of a
Probably
player
agree with
on.
you, Salt.
I think they're more of a player on Semien than they are on Story.
Yeah, I could understand that. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna kind of sound like a homer here, but I do.
Yeah.
Cardinals, possibly Reds. I think the Reds have always been players for a shortstop. Cardinals obviously been scarred market, and the Cubs have been kind of in the sleeper range of like all these shorts. Like just looking at the market, seeing if anything pops out.
Yeah.
They're the guys I could see snagging one if they see a good deal coming through. If they see negotiations that could tip in their favor. Just wanted to mention that right now. Should we discuss Semyon?
Yeah. Wait, Link, did you give a Story prediction?
Oh yeah.
I'm saying Houston, but I'm also like another team that may be looking for a shortstop is the Angels. I mean,
that's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah, no, that's because I don't even think that. Do they even have one right now?
No,
No.
they have Tyler.
I know they
Tyler
released
B.
what's his name back in September or so, but
Tyler Wade right
yeah,
now.
I think
They
they're
had-
willing to spend money considering like this
Oh,
past
yeah, they
season
probably wait. Never mind.
was honestly a huge. It was
My goat.
more of a positive for them than I think they're going to be willing to. Like probably they have to, but
Yeah. But now I guess Semien. What are we kind of thinking here with Semien?
Yeah, probably the Mariners. If I'm going with Story with the Phillies,
Yeah.
I think Semyon's probably going to go to the Mariners.
I
The market on Semyon is really big, though. I don't know if you guys saw that tweet.
Yeah.
But like it's basically a third of the league is in on him,
honestly,
including like the NL Central teams I mentioned.
Honestly, like I'm gonna homer this, but I think the Dodgers are gonna be the ones that sign him. I think the Mariners are going to make it a tough
Actually,
race.
change my pick. I think they're going to the Giants. I think he'll go to the Giants.
All right, where are you
Giants don't really have a huge need for pitching right here. They're not willing. I don't think they're going to spend huge on Gossman. Or I think I'm a bit hesitant on whether or not they're going to get in those 6 years. I think they could shift their focus on Semyon.
I think they can pick up Alex Cobb and get similar production.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
What are you thinking?
Well, I don't know if similar production, but I think they'll get good value from him.
I don't know, man. They have the lab.
That's true.
They do have the lab.
Maybe the lab won't.
They made Tony Descalfani.
Maybe the cheat lab won't go as hard
man.
because it's not pushing. Let's just get these old men to play well because we need Buster Posey to go out with a ring.
Yeah, for real.
But
anyway, what are you thinking, Ryan, for Semyon?
Semyon. Oh, I have him going to the Mariners.
All right. So Link, what's your landing spot for him?
I also think he's going to be a Mariner.
All right. So I think that's
respect that.
All right. So I think that's all of the big ones, right? Oh, I mean, there's obviously Andrelton Simmons, but let's be honest, that's gonna be that.
Andrelton Simmons is going to the Cubs. He is a Cubs are
10 years, $200 million, New York Yankee. Book it, lock it in. Lock it in, baby.
Yep.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, I guess that's kind of it. This has kind of gotten. It's been a big one. This is a long one, but I mean, it's been awesome having you on here, Ryan.
It's great to be on.
Yeah, so it was a blast.
Yeah,
this whenever
good.
You guys.
This one went a little bit long, but this is one that deserves to go long. I feel.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh,
so we've got a lot of.
When the Yankees make their big shortstop move, we'll be sure to have you for that one.
Yeah, it's either going to be nightmarish or nightmarish reacting. Actually, no, it's not going to be a bad because I have like the copings already. I'm already ready to cope. So,
No, the Yankees are not leaving this free agency class without a new shortstop. There.
No, I'm saying like if the I'm very much like the Yankees absolutely need to have Correa, and Seager is cool, and I like Seager, but you need to have Correa. But I'm ready to. I already know. Like I've already been very pro Seager in terms of how good I think he is, and that's because there's a good chance he's a Yankee, and so I'm ready. I'm ready.
Fair enough. But yeah,
I respect it.
It's been great. hopefully, yeah. So yeah, it was great. I appreciate all of you listening through this. It was awesome having you on, Ryan. So yeah, this was episode 18. Episode it's there. Remember, the last thing was not an episode. It was just catching up on football a bit that we missed. But yeah, this was great. It's great having you on. It was great having Lincoln Steven on as always. Finally, because I had some some family over Thanksgiving, so I wasn't able to be able to have my space to record. But yeah, it was awesome. So see you all around next time.